BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is that one game that I never got around to playing, Kyle JCRB Kraus.
I'm not very fun, so don't worry about it.
If you had been released outside of your region, which was what? Latvia?
Sure. I'm a clicker game though, just like over and over, just like it's just the same thing.
Designed to destroy your mouse. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm Jim Crack and Dandy. In case you missed out over on Twitter or on BumbleKing.com, I got to announce a video game that I got to write for. I got to write for Indivisible, the Metroidvania-esque platformer / RPG, brought to you by 505 Games and Lab Zero, the folks behind Skullgirls. And I got to write about a third of the game before it was handed off to the in-house writer for consolidation. I have no idea if anything I wrote actually survived to the final version, but by dingy I wrote for a game, and I am proud of it.
Is your name at least in the credits?
I have no idea.
Well, I guess I have to play it and find out, because I actually have it, because I backed that game.
Nice.
I backed it long before you were even associated with it, and I'm like... So when you told me you were on board with it, and this was a while ago, I was like, oh, good. I'm glad I backed it then. So hopefully you got a few cents from me.
I hope I'm in the credits.
You better be. That would be weird if you weren't, if you wrote a third of the game.
Well, I mean, they may just do the one in-house writer because he did the finals. I don't know.
Yeah, Yeah, well, we'll see. But yeah, I guess I gotta play it now, and I guess I gotta stream it even. I don't know, man. An RPG. I'm scared. How long was a third of the game in terms of writing? How long is that?
It's really hard to, divvy it up evenly, but basically there were 12 sections of the game that could be easily broken down to. And 4 were handed off to each writer. And I know that there were some changes, because one section that I initially wrote was meant to be kind of a tutorial intro, and that just got turned into a cinematic with no dialogue. So maybe some of the staging I wrote is still in there. But, it's, a video game. So, what is planned initially might not make it to the end. There was at least one character that I had to rewrite because they were dropping one and kind of rolling it into another. So things changed, and it'll be interesting to see what the final product is when I have the time and money to actually pick it up myself.
Yeah. You wrote it. They should give you a copy. What the heck?
That would be nice, but they're also, a super tiny indie developer. So
they can spare a code.
That would be nice, but at the same time, I played the demo, and I don't know if I can play the game.
Uh-oh.
Having each party member mapped to one of your face buttons is a little more than my shriveled little gray matter can handle.
Oh, you can do it, Ian. I believe in you.
Maybe I'll just watch your stream.
Okay. That's fine,
anyway,
too.
What do you got going on?
Well, I wish I had something cool, but not really. Yeah, I don't really have much going on. So let's go ahead and get into our main topic for the day, which is a continuation of a previous episode.
Yep, we're still talking video games. Previously, we discussed, some of the big name titles that Kyle had never gotten around to. The Heathen.
Yeah, I know.
And, fair is fair. So in this episode, we're going to put on full display my personal video game ignorance. So you can just kind of sit there and shake your head and go, Ian, how can you even claim to be a gamer? Really, truly, honestly.
I'm kind of surprised at how many of these I have played, but that you have not. I'm just like, wait, what?
It's a good thing, because otherwise this would be a very short episode. I haven't played this. Neither have I. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Yeah. Well, there's a few of those. Ones that I didn't list because I kind of overlooked them. So.
Well, first thing on my list of shame here is the Grim Fandango and Day of the Tentacle and pretty much all of the classic LucasArts stuff.
Well, honestly, this is a big blind spot for me too. I would say adventure gaming in the 90s, PC adventure games, point and click adventures are a big blind spot for me. So yeah, I should have probably listed that on my episode too, but whatever.
Now, granted, the one machine we had in the house around this era, I think, might have been an Apple product. I don't know if there was a distinction between Apple and Microsoft too much at that point.
Correct. There was, yes.
It was Dad's work machine, so there were the occasional games on it. I'm thinking specifically of TIE Fighter, that glorious shoot 'em flight sim. But I wasn't really allowed on it all the time, so I didn't have the option of PC gaming, really. We had, the Genesis or the N64. We had the dedicated gaming machine. So along that line, never got around to Doom or Duke Nukem or Wolfenstein or any of those first-person classic shooters. Never mind the PC, but there was no way on God's green earth Mom was going to let me play something like that.
See, this one surprises me a little bit, but I guess that's just because my friends all had like Doom, Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein. So that's how I was introduced to it, by just going over to their house, and they had a computer and they'd show me those games. So that's probably how I got exposed to them.
Never got around to the Oddworld series.
And this is another one that I was exposed to by a friend, but only the first game. I've not played any of the other ones.
Now, having, gone back and watched playthroughs of some of these, so I at least know what was happening, I'm not too upset that I missed out on Abe's Odyssey, because that looked extremely frustrating.
It is, yeah.
Like fist through the monitor, anger-inducing. So
it is.
It's all good. It's fine.
It looks really good, though, for its time. It's pretty impressive graphically.
Oh, yeah. It's aged very well.
Yeah.
Now, another big one, and Kyle, you'll have to forgive me for this one, but I never got to System Shock or Deus Ex.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't played either of them either.
Now, wait just a minute. You're the big cyberpunk transhumanism guy.
I'm into that stuff, kind of. Sure.
Why not?
But I just haven't played them. Here's the thing. When these games were big, this was like late 90s, 2000-ish, around that era. For me, PC gaming at that time was mostly like racing games. And like shareware. I was a kid and I didn't have any money, so I had to play whatever games were given to me, which was usually like racing games, and then like shareware downloads or demos and stuff like that. I didn't really know the wider world of PC gaming outside of like I don't know, Monster Truck Madness. That's all I really knew. So I was not exposed to a lot of this stuff. That's also why I have a big blind spot for adventure games at the time, because I was just spending most of my time playing PC racing games. So yeah, System Shock and Deus Ex both passed me by. So I should play them, though. I actually, considering my ginormous Steam library that and my enormous backlog, I actually do have Deus Ex and System Shock. I should play them eventually, but yeah, I haven't gotten around to it.
Now, one I do hate that I missed out on, especially when it was in vogue and was new and all that, is the Thief series.
Yeah, I missed it too.
What I've seen of that looks phenomenal.
Yeah, Thief looks really good, but again, that's another blind spot for me. It's just all these PC, this 2000 or late 90s, early 2000s PC gaming is just like, I don't know why, but completely just gone for me. I missed it completely.
Does Baldur's Gate fall within that realm as well?
Yeah, except I actually did play Baldur's Gate, but only because I happened to chance into a copy of it at a yard sale. I was at a yard sale with my grandma, and they were someone was selling Baldur's Gate, like the full, like 6-disc install for PC, and I'm like, I should get this. I think it was like super cheap too. Like, yeah, I know Baldur's Gate. I know that. I've heard of it. I'll get this. So I got it, and then I played it, and I was like, this is hard. This is a lot. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it was even related to Dungeons and Dragons until much later. But I was like, huh, wow, this is very complicated. I'm scared of it. So, but yeah, so I have a little bit of exposure to Baldur's Gate. It's pretty interesting. Having played it again recently, I don't know how well it holds up. I don't know, maybe I'm just not used to that era of RPG gaming, so I completely missed it. But I don't know. It was interesting. It was definitely a departure from what I was used to playing on computers. That's for sure.
Absolutely. No steering wheels involved at all.
I couldn't I couldn't turn and hit the pedals. What the heck? Come on. What am I supposed to do with that?
I cast truck. Why doesn't that work?
Yeah, where's my truck? Anyway, go ahead.
Another one, and forgive me, internet, but never really played any of the Final Fantasies.
See, this kind of surprises me because you like RPGs.
I do, and I appreciate the artistry and the music. I did play a fair bit of Crystal Chronicles.
See, that's barely even a Final Fantasy game.
I know. Played it a bit in college when we had our, God, what was that? The old GBAs?
Yeah, Game Boy Advances and GameCubes, yeah.
Screaming at each other to pick up the bucket! But, and I know I watched Aaliyah play through a fair bit of Final Fantasy VI.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that's her favorite. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII, never touched it. Any of the others, I've not even dabbled. It's...
What?
Oh yeah, and Aaliyah played some of 9.
9?
But,
okay, yeah.
It's all been passive, if that. So when everyone is losing their ever-loving minds over the Final Fantasy VII remake, I'm like, I am so happy you guys are happy. Means nothing to me.
See, here's the thing. I'm like, I don't play RPGs much. So the fact that I have played Final Fantasy and actually beaten Final Fantasy VII even is like a huge surprise. And I'm just like, I'm kind of floored you haven't played any of them. Or not really played any of them. It's like, huh. I played a bit of my personal favorite is 5, even though I haven't gotten very far into it. I just like 5 a lot, especially because people crap on it. That tends to be how I go for things. Like if people start crapping on something, if they don't like it that much, if they're like, it's not very good, I'll be like, yeah, that's my favorite. Just because I'm that guy. But I do actually legitimately like 5. 7 is also pretty good. I like 7. But that's about the extent of my myself playing it. Now I actually played through quite a bit of 8 and then stopped because I realized I hated it. Because 8 sucks. Don't at me, it sucks. But I have been exposed to most of the series thanks to it being one of my girlfriend's favorite game series. So I've been exposed to all of them in some form or another. She's played them all, and I've watched here and there. So 9 is also really good. I like 9 a lot. Even though I haven't played it, through osmosis, I've learned to really like that one too. So 9 is great.
I've been kind of thinking of maybe looking into Final Fantasy Remake just because of all the hype, but am I allowed to play it? If I haven't touched the original, I feel like I'm stepping onto hallowed ground here.
Just play it. The fact they're even remaking it means nothing is sacred anymore, so whatever. Just play it. It's fine. Just play the original. I mean, it's on everything.
Yeah, I guess.
It's on the Switch, for crying out loud.
We have come full circle.
We really have.
Another one that I haven't touched at all in any incarnation is the Diablo series.
Yep, same here. I actually own both Diablo 1 and 2. Not played them. This is my life, Ian. This is what it's come to.
Which is worse, my complete ignorance and not having, or your ignorance but possessing?
I am surrounded by hundreds of video games, either physically or digitally, that I've not played, and it's a freaking, what is wrong with me? I'm terrible. So yeah, I actually do have these, and I should get around to them. But again, RPGs. I'm hesitant and intimidated by multi-hour long, like RPG adventure type games like Diablo. So that's why I'm like, well, I'll put this on my shelf and just deal with it later.
Another series I've never gone anywhere near, and I don't plan to, is the Battlefield and Call of Duty and all of their ilk. If I'm going to play a first-person shooter, I want something fanciful and fun about it. Your Halos, your GoldenEyes, something, your Team Fortress 2, something that's got some razzle-dazzle, not the we're going to make this attempt at recreating the horrors of war, except it's fun, except you should be feeling bad, except it's so realistic you should be both sad and no. I don't dig it. I don't want to press F to pay respects. It kind of creeps me out a little bit, truth be told.
A little bit. They kind of dropped a lot of that after like Call of Duty 2 or whatever one, the one with the nuclear holocaust at the beginning. Was like, yeah, they kind of reined it back in a little bit after that. But there's still a little press F to pay respects thing, or X, depending on if you're PC or console, I guess. But yeah, again, those are types of games I haven't touched too much. I know my stepbrothers really loved like Medal of Honor and stuff when it was World War II, so I did play a few of those, and those are interesting. But that was like the PS1 era, so things didn't really look photorealistic. So right. It was a little easier to separate from reality in that case. So now it's a bit harder.
That and World War II shooters have become the Battle of Hoth in Star Wars games. We have seen every single possible permutation of the Normandy landing in game form. Well,
they stopped those after a while too, until pretty recently when they did World War II for Call of Duty again. But yeah. But apparently Call of Duty World War II, the most recent one, is just like normal Call of Duty with a World War II skin on top, so it plays like a modern a modern style game. Like a modern style warfare in World War II clothing. It's like, what? How does that even work? That just sounds ridiculous. That sounds almost ridiculous enough to make me go, now I'm interested. Because I'm just trying to imagine like World War II style everything, but it's all acting like it's all modern. And it's like, this is very confusing and I'm very lost.
Now, I wouldn't be so opposed to it if it was used as kind of like a teaching device. Like if you were able to explore the Italian theater or the Chinese theater, use it as a vehicle to
educate,
impart what happened at these events. Not necessarily the big, crowning moments in the war, all the battles that get immortalized and talked about every single time, but the smaller battles, the people who were caught in the crossfire, the bombing of London. Just do something more than just, hey, shoot the dudes. I know that there's a lot of debate to be had over violence in video games and desensitizing folks, but personally, I feel like when you're taking real life events and complicated matters such as these international conflicts and boiling it down to shoot the Nazis, you're taking advantage of real people who didn't make it. And I'm bungling my big dramatic speech here. I just feel like if you're going to put all the effort into a game where you shoot stuff, let's have some fun with it. Let's not saddle it with the baggage of these were real events and these are real people who died for a cause that they may not necessarily have believed in.
Right.
This is talking about my ignorance in video games, not my soapbox.
Well, Assassin's Creed, what was it? Origins? The Egypt one, whichever one that one was. They actually had kind of something along those lines. It's kind of like a tour mode where you could just go around and like learn about the history of ancient Egypt and just, I don't know, just look around the world and explore without all the gameplay attached to it. And I think more games could benefit from that sort of mode. Something that's like a teaching tool along with, an actual game, of course. But,
Sure.
But take these worlds and these environments that have been created and actually maybe figure out a way to do something more with them just beyond, hey, shoot that guy over there. So that could be interesting.
Especially the number 2 trilogy, I think had a very nice balance of weaving in real world events and history while also playing in your clearly fanciful environment.
Right.
Kind of push the line when you go to kill the Pope. That might raise a red flag for some folks, but overall, I feel like that was a little more palatable.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I'm not even Catholic, and I got to that mission. I'm like, okay.
Well, when was that taking place? What era was that?
Oh shoot, I don't even remember. I barely retained it. It's been so long.
I was gonna say, because if it was a while ago, if it was like, if it was during the time of when the church was terrible, then hey, it's fine.
It was Renaissance Italy because.
Well, then yeah, you're fine.
Da Vinci's in there, but anyway, casting a wide net on this one. But pretty much, if it's a racing game that doesn't have some kind of mascot character in it, I haven't touched it. Your Gran Turismos,
I'm not surprised by this.
Race type things, nah.
Yeah. See, and I eat this stuff up. I love this stuff.
This is your domain.
I love mascot racers and non-mascot racers. I'm down. I'm into them. I'm there. I mean, I finally finished Wreckfest. I put 60 hours or something into that game. I don't know. Wreckfest is just nice to play casually. It's really good. I like it a lot, but man, it's hard. But yeah, games like that, Forza games, Gran Turismo, I'm into them. That's my jam.
I can't get into the drive to drive thing. I mean, I understand there's competition, and yeah, it looks really pretty. A lot of them are gorgeous, but
yeah,
some folks enjoy all the specs of the cars and the models and the collectible aspect, and I totally get that. It's not my jam.
Well, there's arcadey style ones too. Like there's a game called Blur, which uses real cars, but it's an arcade game through and through. It's got freaking weapons and pickups and stuff like that. It's basically Mario Kart just using real cars. So that's pretty cool.
That's more my jam. I'm a simple man, Kyle. I need my shiny lights and my fast music.
And then there's Split Second, which doesn't have pickups and items, but you kind of build up a meter and cause chaos all around you to take out people, to take out all the other drivers. It's a freaking amazing game. I freaking love Split Second. But yeah, so games like that I love too. So I like realistic racing games. I like arcade racing games. I just like racing games. I'm just a fan of them. I've just been into them since the NES days. It's just a thing.
Speaking of driving and causing mayhem, I have not played any of the Grand Theft Auto games.
See, and I've been playing them pretty much since the first one, although I have not played 5.
I mean, the closest I've come was I played some Java desktop ripoff of the original, where you had a giant magnifying glass and you were zapping people like ants.
Okay.
And the novelty of that wore off pretty quick. I mean, It was kind of funny at first in that kind of almost Looney Tunes-esque sort of violent way, but It's like, all right, I've seen this. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I only know that I only bring it up because it pretty much was a direct ripoff of that old top-down style of GTA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that I'm not a huge fan of GTA, but I've dabbled in here and there. I like them, and I like them well enough. But I definitely prefer, in terms of the style of game, Saints Row, just because Saints Row went off the freaking rails and got into like superhero stuff and had superpowers. It's like, okay, yeah, this is my type of game. I'm into this one. Here we go.
That's another one I haven't done a lot. I picked up the second one off of the Zero Punctuation review,
Yeah,
and adored it.
the second one is
And
the
then,
best.
yeah, everything I heard about the third one was like, kind of feels like it's gone a little too far off the rails. I liked having a little bit of grounding to it all. And then after that, it sounded like it went so far off kilter. It's like, okay, well, now it's its own thing. It's just ludicrous nonsense, and I can get behind that. That's fine.
I would say, yeah, Saints Row 3 and 4 are definitely like the point where the series jumped the shark from being just a clone of GTA and into like just ridiculous territory, which I quite enjoyed. So
I mean, on the one hand, 2 doesn't have the dubstep canon, which is hilarious.
yeah,
But
two is a lot more grounded, but
I also have very fond memories of doing the insurance fraud side distraction, whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
and just trying to ragdoll up onto the train tracks, hoping against hope I could catch the train with my face. And oh my God, Kyle, there were tears. I was laughing so hard.
3 and 4 do still have that, so
Okay.
yeah, they haven't gone completely off the rails. They're still open world sandbox fun to be had.
I have not played Psychonauts, and I feel like that's maybe the greatest sin on this list.
Well, I haven't played it either, so
It's spoken of with such reverence, and it seems like such a unique, kooky, fun thing.
mm-hmm.
I have no idea where I would even begin to touch it. Like, I'm assuming it's still on Steam, but
Oh, it's everywhere. Yeah, it's
okay.
freaking. It's definitely well out there, by now. So yeah, it's easy to find. I have not played it though. It's just one of those things that. When did it come out? Like 2003, 2004 ish. So again, I was like in a very defined genre of games at that point, and I wasn't really exploring much outside of those. So again, Psychonauts just kind of passed me by. But again, I think it passed most people by. I don't think people really realized it existed until later on when it became a critical darling and was kind of celebrated versus forgotten. So same with Beyond Good and Evil.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
those were out at around the same time. So yep, Beyond Good and Evil I have played a little bit of though. So at least there's that.
Beyond Good and Evil was one I did play, and I enjoyed that a lot.
It's very fun. I just set it down and never went back to it. Not for any reason other than the fact that I do that with a lot of games. It just happens. So, but yeah, I should jump back into that one too one of these days.
Another series that I haven't really done a lot with is the Rayman series. Now, I did play 2 on the N64, and that thing was just merciless, I guess is the best word.
It's pretty brutal, yeah.
But it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything about the presentation, even the, very blocky nature of it has aged well. It just kind of lends itself to its kookiness. Everything after that, it's almost, this is too smooth. This is too nice. What are you doing?
It has a very cartoonish art style, so it still works. I also like the original. It's just a straight up 2D platformer, but it's a very well made and very good 2D platformer. So I definitely like that. I want to play the newer ones like Rayman Origins and Legends, but I still haven't gotten to them. I need to. It's another thing I haven't gotten to.
Have you gotten to the Wario Land series? Because I haven't.
Yeah, a little bit actually. I was actually introduced to Wario Land through a friend of mine. I hadn't played him before But I knew what they were, obviously. I just hadn't played them. But he showed me them, and we played them together. And they are amazing, great fun. If you want, like, real quick, super fast gameplay, and you just want to get in, like, something real quick in, like, 10 minutes, Wario Land is a place to go. Wario Land is great fun. It's good for that little shot of gameplay when you need to play a game, but you don't have a heck of a lot of time. Wario Land is good for that.
Would you say the same thing about the Shantae series? Because I haven't played any of those either.
No. Are you familiar at all? Do you enjoy? I'd say familiar. Obviously, you are. Do you enjoy Metroidvanias?
Ish, yes. Not that I've played a ton of them, but yes.
And then Shantae is a series you'd probably like. It's kind of a platformer in the same vein, a similar vein as a Metroidvania. You kind of go back and forth through an open world and just explore and find areas. And you, as you go through, you can unlock new areas and new abilities and that kind of stuff. So it's very Metroidvania-esque. Well worth your time. I would recommend playing, well, all of them. They're very good. Of course, the music is amazing, but, that's to be expected considering it's Vert, Jake Kaufman.
I don't know. I'm just part of me's drawn to it because it feels like one of those classic-styled, mascot-driven platformers that you don't really get a lot of anymore.
Yes.
And, Shovel Knight can't hog all the glory, and Shantae kind of has a few more games under her belt. Well, she doesn't really have a belt.
Kinda. She does.
Does she? Okay. She's got a little more to her library than good old Shovel Knight so far, but...
Yeah. But her games are more open-ended in the Metroidvania style, so...
Right.
If you're looking for a Shovel Knight experience, you're probably not going to find it with Shantae. But
no. They're very, very different games. That I understand.
But you are going to find a very adorable game with excellent music that is a ton of fun to play, and I highly recommend them. So you should play them, Ian. You should.
I should probably play all of those at some point.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we should do some Q&A.
Q&A?
Some Q&A!
On this show? What are you talking about?
Believe it or not, it happens more often than you'd think.
Yeah, on every episode, I think.
If you want your question answered on the show, you can email us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com, tweet us at BumbleKast, comment anywhere on any video here on YouTube, or if you're a patron, go over to patreon.com/BumbleKast and message us, post somewhere, we'll find it. Shoot, if you're in the Discord, ask it there. We will find your question. Just make it easy for us, please.
Yes, there's a Q&A channel in the Discord, so that's where your Q&A should go. You should put it there.
And if you want your question answered sooner rather than later, toss us $5. Become a patron over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, or send us $5 through Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/BumbleKast. And make sure to include your name and your question so we know that, that's what you want to do. You're not just giving us money because you're nice. I mean, you can do that too if you want, but you probably want to get a question answered.
Maybe. You decide. All right. We got to get into the priority Q&A first, of course. First one comes from Andrew D. If either of you own the rights to the Sonic franchise, what changes would you implement to the games, comic shows, etc.? Note for the comic, I'm not asking for upcoming plans. This would be more like things out of your control, such as the way characters are handled, ideas you aren't allowed to use, extra book like Sonic Universe was for Archie, etc.
We talk about my thoughts on Sonic all the time. What about you, Kyle? What if you had the keys to the castle?
More Blaze would be one. Tangle and Whisper would already have their own game series. Not games. Not game series. What else? I'd bring back the Freedom Fighters. And what else would I do? Probably integrate more of the comic elements into the games. Probably just make games based on the comics instead. Just be like, forget all that other crap. More Sonic Mania style games. In fact, I'd pretty much probably move exclusively over to doing nothing but Sonic Mania style games. A Sonic Mania style game with no throwback levels, all original. I would love that. I don't know. I think that's, if I had the pie in the sky plans to do whatever I wanted with the Sonic franchise, that's probably just some of the things I would do. But what about you, Ian?
In the magical land where I have become God, I think I'd just kind of hit the reset button on modern Sonic.
Yeah.
Like, keep the characters, keep the elements, but, remix them a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sonic has been extremely experimental since the whole modern thing launched back in '99. Trying out different directions, different tones, different gameplay styles, and we've gotten a lot of neat stuff from it, but it doesn't necessarily feel cohesive.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take everything we have and just kind of give it another try. And I think that the games are the pillars of the franchise, what with them being, the foundation for everything that is Sonic.
It is a video game franchise first and foremost, yes.
So everything, should be built from that, but it'd be neat if we could have a little more direct ties between each form of the media. I guess this would imply that the comics would get rebooted again. But,
maybe.
You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
Can't make an omelet without breaking a few Eggmen either.
But I don't know. Just that would be the blanket statement. Take everything, give it another pass, remix it a bit, and pave over some of the stuff that seems to be hang-ups with some of the characters. Stuff that is just, it's part of who their backstory, who they are, but all it does is make things complicated. It doesn't actually do anything for the narrative anymore.
I'd say give more than like 2 games for the gameplay style to be codified, because like every time they get something good going, all of a sudden they just rip it out from under you, and they're like, okay, well, we're doing this now instead. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Mario series, the main line,
right?
We really haven't had a big change since Mario 64. It's large environments where you run around and you collect celestial objects. Now, granted, there have been definite changes. The flood gimmick, the zero-G gimmick, the hat capture gimmick.
It's more like obstacle courses, which would be like Mario Galaxy and Mario 3D World. Those are more obstacle-driven rather than just open exploration. Right. But yeah, it's they're essentially the same type of game still.
The core mechanics, the running, the jumping, the flipping, and whatnot.
Right.
Those are all pretty much fundamentally the same, just polished between games. And Sonic has been far more experimental. And with that experimentation, you have successes and you have not successes. I thought they finally nailed that puppy to the wall with Sonic Colors, but what do I know?
Yeah, I thought Sonic Colors and Generations was like a really good point to start like being like, okay, this is Sonic. This is what Sonic is. But then they went and did Lost World, and it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop! They kind of went back to the Generations well with Forces, but I feel like Forces kind of was mediocre overall.
I don't know. I'm a big Forces apologist because I feel like if you look at it as more of an arcadey experience and not a Generations or Adventure style game,
right?
It feels a bit nicer, but I will admit that the classic Sonic stages in that are not as charming or as fun as in Generations.
Yeah.
And the Avatar levels kind of throw off the feeling of that arcadey bit. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if it was more decidedly, like, if it were clearly cut up, like in the original Sonic Adventure. So you have the Sonic stage, the classic stage, the Avatar, not stage, excuse me, campaign. It would feel a little less jarring. I mean, that was one of the problems with that stage too, is, you into the groove of the arcadey obstacle course, fast-paced Sonic stage, and then you might get it again, or you're doing a platformer shooter gallery with Tails. Or wait, no, you're spending 30 minutes trying to find that last stinking Emerald Shard, and Pumpkin Hell is looped for the 5th freaking time. Where is it?
Yeah.
If there was more division, I think it might have. I don't know.
I got to tell you, that is a big reason why I am not a big fan of Sonic Adventure 2. And I know people will nail me to a cross for that, but whatever. It's fine. If you like it, that's fine, but Sonic Adventure 2 is just drives me up a wall.
SA2 is more focused than SA1. I mean, SA1 is definitely a giant science experiment.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also so fragmented and it's so experimental, I think it lacks a nice sense of focus. SA2 has the, running, searching, shooting stuff down pat. Those are, refined, lovely, they're great. But because you have no flow from one style to the other, it's kind of jarring.
I don't know. So, to me, Sonic Adventure 2 feels like more of a buggy mess than even SA1.
I would. Well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
Well, when you get to what's the name of that level, Cana's Core or whatever, it's like one of the last levels, and you immediately Sonic falls. He falls from the top of the stage down. He's supposed to land on the ground, but he just keeps falling through the floor instead, over and over until you game over. That's pretty bad.
Haven't run into that one.
Yeah, I've ran into that one multiple times. It's like, I think this game is broken. Now, I will admit there are definitely plenty of points in Sonic Adventure 1 where you can clip through the environments too, but I never had anything quite that bad. So, but I also prefer just Sonic Adventures. It helps that the characters themselves are an individual campaign, so you do have more of that cohesiveness between each one. So you're not just switching on each level. Mm-hmm. And also, I feel like Knuckles' levels were a lot better in SA1 just because the environments weren't as big, so you didn't have to look nearly as hard. So
I'm divided on that because, like you said, the smaller environments are easier to navigate, so they're more bite-sized.
Yeah.
But once I got over trying to, speed run and progress and was more into the whole exploration, I did like having the larger environments with the little things to find here and there. But I think might just boil down to personal preference.
See, and I was just annoyed and freaking frustrated by that whole thing, and it just was like, come on, I just want to go on to the next level. I don't care. Yeah.
I think that might have been alleviated, though, if Knuckles had his own campaign. If you were just playing as Knuckles and didn't have to get through it so you could get back to Sonic.
That might help. That might help, but I'm still just like, I would prefer playing Sonic Adventure 1 over Sonic Adventure 2 any day, to be honest with you. It's just me. I'm just a weirdo.
I like SA1, but one thing that I would keep, as we're, kind of meandering off topic here, but one thing that I would keep is I do like the classic modern split.
Yeah.
I like that. Even if some of the characters are relegated to just one brand, I actually really dig that. If that means that we're going to get more Sonic Mania styled stuff, some, quintessential side-scrolling Sonic, not a lot of bells and whistles, just pretty sprite work and kickbook chiptune music. If that's what it takes, cool. I am all about just packaging that as its own thing and letting modern Sonic be its thing with its voice acting and grander plots and butt rock music and all of that. So
yeah, sure.
I dig that split, and I would like to keep that split.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I like that too. It actually kind of works. All right. Are we ready to finally go on to the next question here?
Yeah, okay.
Next question comes from new patron IanWaffles. Welcome aboard, Ian. Going back to your pre-Super Genesis Wave run on Archie comics, I noticed that the way you wrote Sonic seemed different from the way you've written him since. Sonic is much more aggressive, arrogant, and hot-headed. He is much more likely to resort to violence, like running across the continent to ram into Eggman and then laughing about it, or threatening Eggman with a 5-minute head start. Of course, Eggman is a villain, but it's a very sharp contrast to his usual light-hearted attitude in your later comics. Sonic was also egotistical in the case of Tails and Fiona's situation. He's very often scowling or annoyed with friends and foes alike, and very often undermines authority and boasts about it. I wanted to know what was your reasoning for taking the character in this direction, or was this never your intention in the first place? Either way, I think it gave the character a nice level of depth to balance out his usual attitude, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy. You're not wrong. Old Archie Sonic definitely was different than present modern Sonic. And part of that is what I inherited. The writers who came before cast Sonic in a very different light that made him more arrogant and egocentric. And truth be told, when I first came onto the book, one of my biggest challenges was finding a way to like the character, because I really didn't like who he was up to that point. He was a jock. He was a swaggering jerk. Not quite as bad as Sonic the Comic, but definitely someone that was kind of hard to love. And I think part of that, too, stemmed from the old Western-styled 90s attitude that he was saddled with in the early localization. It was just kind of a permutation of that. In the old run, I did try to steer him a little closer to what had become the mainline Sonic, because at that point, that was 2006-ish, so we had SA1, SA2, Sonic Heroes had come out by that point.
Yeah. I think Heroes
Any
was
other
05.
mainlines come out at that point? Did Sonic Battle come out yet?
I think so. We had the Advance series going. Wasn't Shadow like 2006?
Something like that, but it was before Sonic X, so
mm-hmm.
there had been enough time that, you know, the new standard had enough material there that you could at least reference it, I guess. So that's where I was trying to steer him, but at the same time, you know, this is what had been established, so I couldn't completely just dump the character. You know, I wanted to build off of what had come before. I'd grown up reading the books. I didn't want it to be my book. I wanted to contribute to the greater mythos. Oh, if I only knew then what I know now. But you're not wrong. Sonic was definitely a more abrasive and aggressive character in the beginning. And then with the reboot, he was decidedly closer to game standard, just with a little bit of baggage. And then with IDW Sonic, I am trying to emulate the game stuff as close as possible while still giving my own little personal spin to it.
All right. Our next question comes from Scruffy Matt. He says, "Hey, fellas, I hope you're having a good podcast."
Are we having a good podcast?
I don't know. Are we?
I think we are.
Okay, good. While recently watching our friend Sin streaming Sonic Adventure, I noted what a powerful and iconic moment it is when Sonic transforms into Super Sonic for the final boss fight. I think that it may just be the best Super Sonic transformation moment in any of the games. Sonic Adventure 2's transformation sequence is also memorable, but for entirely different reasons. So I was wondering, what are some of your favorite memorable and iconic moments from the Sonic games?
Well, we were just talking about Sonic Adventure, so Kyle, you lead us off.
I'm trying to think. Like, I think for me, it's Sonic 2. When you're after you beat Wing Fortress and you're catching a ride on Sonic's or on Eggman's space shuttle, basically. That kind of, as a kid, was like, holy crap, I'm going to space! What is going on? I'm like, because it's like, uh-oh, Eggman's taking off. Robotnik's taking off. I've got to get him. How do I get him? I can't control anything. Nothing's happening. What do I do? And then all of a sudden, Tails flies back up after getting shot down. It's like this epic moment where Tails is just like, "I'm here, jump on," and so you ride the tornado up a little bit, and then finally you're able to jump onto the Sonic jumps on and grabs onto the shuttle, and you're going to the Death Egg, and it's like, holy crap, this has gotten insane. What do I do now? And then just trying to figure out how to beat Death Egg without any rings, because there are no rings in Death Egg. It's like a freaking nightmare. So that took me a long time to beat that game. So, but yeah, that's definitely one of those moments. That's one of the biggest moments I can remember for Sonic. That was like one of those childhood moments for me, where it's like, holy crap, this is freaking amazing. Doomsday is also another one like that.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you're flying through space. It's the wreckage of the wreckage of the wreckage of the Death Egg is behind you. There's just nothing but asteroids that you got to avoid, and you got to like try to catch up to Eggman running away and get the Master Emerald back. And it's like, holy crap, this has just gone from 10 to 15. It's pretty wild. So yeah, that's definitely another great moment. And it really, really, I'm really freaking ticked off that Sonic Generations final boss wasn't a recreation of Doomsday. That would have been so much cooler than what we got, but whatever. It's fine. What about you, Ian? What do you think?
Kind of along those lines, pretty much Hidden Palace through Sky Sanctuary.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Is one collective moment of, what? I mean, you're seeing the mural for the first time. You actually get to fight Knuckles. What? I have to fight Knuckles?
Yeah.
Not a robot?
I forgot about fighting Knuckles. Yeah.
Are you allowed to fight Knuckles? And being a kid, I completely overthought it, so he actually got a few hits in on me. And, I thought, all right, I'll just spin dash into him. That's nice and safe. And he blocks it. It's like, he can block a spin dash. He is the coolest guy ever.
Yep.
Eggman's betrayal, Knuckles helping you get to Sky Sanctuary. The very little noticed sprite of if you wait for Knuckles after he opens the pathway for you on Sky Sanctuary, where he actually gestures for you to go ahead.
Yep.
Just blew my mind. The triple fight with Mecha Sonic running up the pillars, the Death Egg launches, seeing the Egg Robots launching from the Death Egg as it ascends. That entire sequence, man, that was gold.
Oh, yeah.
Everything about it.
Yeah, running up the tower as it crumbles away beneath you when
Yes.
you're trying to jump to the Death Egg. That's one of those moments where it's like, oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, those are great moments.
A very personal one for me, at the end of Mirage Saloon, Act 1, and one of the hooligans shows up to shoot you down. That just... I cannot form words, Kyle. My boys, they was back.
Yeah.
And in the way I envisioned.
Yeah,
that entire game is kind of like that sensation, but the hooligans themselves, and even if they are manifestations of Heavy Magician, Heavy Magician had to base it off of something.
Right.
Those wanted posters were not for Heavy Magician.
Yeah,
so,
that was freaking cool.
I guess in terms of modern stuff, it's not necessarily iconic, but one of the funniest scenes for me, and kind of what won me over to Big, is after you beat Sand Hill as Tails, and he finds Froggy, and he's holding Froggy like, what in the world is this? And this is from Tails' perspective, mind you. It's completely differently framed as Big. So you've just finished this really cool stage as Tails, and now it's night for some reason, and now he has Froggy. He's like, what do I do with this? And then all of a sudden, there's this 6-foot mongoloid with glowing eyes just staring. And he kind of like falls on Tails trying to grab Froggy. It's like, wow, this is kind of spooky, and I don't think they intended it to be, and it's really funny. And okay, Big, you're cool now. I get you. You are just not part of the Sonic cycle. You are your own thing. You are a weird iconoclast, and I dig you. But also, pretty much all of Gamma's campaign, but especially his ending, her ending, however you want to slice it. Apparently, a factoid came out recently where the pink birdie inside Gamma was not the mama bird, but was like the brother bird to the white one.
Huh.
And I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Mm-mm.
I much prefer the fact that you were Mama Birdie shooting down Papa Birdie to reunite the entire family of birdies. I don't like my headcanon being wrong in that instance.
Well, good thing you write the comics, so you can do whatever you want. Just kidding. You can't do it. Just kidding. You can't do whatever you want. Do not get any ideas, people listening out there. Another one I liked. What is it? Stardust Speedway in Sonic CD.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially the boss fight, the boss race with Metal Sonic. That's a really cool moment. You're just trying desperately to just stay ahead of him, and he's like blasting through spikes and just boosts to catch up with you. And like if you wait long enough, Eggman is showing up behind you to keep you moving on screen so you don't just hang back. And it's like it's just one of those harrowing moments where you're just like, okay, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I get ahead of him? Can I get ahead of him? And then you finally get to the end and you beat him, and then the gate closes down on him and he freaking he just dies. Or, well, I guess technically he did die because he never showed up past that moment in the game. But, yeah, that's one of those moments that's really cool. And definitely is a good way to solidify Metal Sonic's theme as that song from Sonic CD. So, yeah, that's another great moment. So most of mine come from classic, I think. I just remember classic stuff. I think I just remember classic stuff a lot more fondly than a lot of the modern stuff. Although there's good modern stuff too, for sure. It's just, I grew up playing those old Sonic games, so I tend to remember them better and more fondly.
That and the SA2 Super Transformation sequence. I remember my brother and I marking out hardcore when they got the Chaos Emeralds. And it's like, okay, here comes the Supersonic fight.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, he looks to Shadow. They're both holding up their fists. Shadow can go super? Oh, he's white gold instead of yellow gold. That's so cool contrast.
That was really cool, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. But I again, another thing I preferred SA1 from SA2 though, as I just prefer that final boss fight from SA1.
I will take SA2s any day of the week.
I'm with Scruffy on that one. Also because I like Open Your Heart better than Live and Learn, but
I have to go with Live and Learn.
I know. But we know objectively that Open Your Heart's a better song. Anyway. We know in our heart of hearts. Anyway, let's keep going. It's taken us a while to get through just these first three, so let's see if we can cruise through the standard Q&A. This one comes from Mike B. I know that it's highly unlikely that this would ever happen given Sega's somewhat strict guidelines, but I'd love to see some interaction between humans and Mobians that are not just Sonic and company visiting the planet. Maybe there could be Mobians that settled on the human planet, given that Team Dark...
Fan ideas, come on.
Given that Team Dark has worked with Gun several times, Big Bungalow in the Mystic Ruins, as well as Mystic Ruins in its entirety. Yeah, this really confuses me, Ian. Because we have the Mystic Ruins and we have the floating islands, but supposedly Sonic Adventure takes place in the human world?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Okay. Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different island. It's a much smaller island. That's the key. That's what it is. It's a very tiny island. That's the difference.
I don't know, because here's the thing with the whole two worlds bit, is that if there's very easy crossover between the two worlds, then we should see more humans on Sonic's world and more Mobians, let's call them, on the human world, and we just don't see that. The games don't show that at all.
If it's if it's so easy to go between two worlds, why even have two worlds?
So, as best as I can figure it, Eggman has all of his various machines. He knows of it. He can make a point of going between the worlds.
Yeah.
Sonic and his buddies are seasoned adventurers at this point. They can travel with a decent amount of ease, however it is they do. But for your average Joe Blow animal or human just doing their daily thing, I don't see them traveling that much, or maybe even knowing about the world all that much. Like maybe it's kind of thought of more as like a distant foreign country that you kind of could maybe find on a map, but don't really think about it day to day. I don't know. It's a sticky wicket, and I'm not really jonesing to address it because that means I have to confront Sega about it, and I don't know how well that's going to go over. So right now, zombies.
Zombies? Okay. That's fine. That's better anyway. Next question comes from the Big RG. Do you have any insight as to what Marine's power that she used to stop Dr. Nega was?
No idea whatsoever.
It's Marine power.
I have studied that little blip in that cutscene so many freaking times, and because it's so low poly, you can't tell what it is. I mean, given the theme of the game and her name, one might assume it's some kind of hydrokinesis to maybe counter Blaze's pyrokinesis, but that is a big assumption on my part, and it's never referenced beyond that one moment, and Marine hasn't been referenced since that game, so I don't know.
That's funny. I this probably isn't doing her character any justice, and I blame this mostly on the fact that I have not played Sonic Rush Adventure, but I feel like Marine is sort of a proto Styx. I don't know if that's going to... No? Okay. No?
I mean, there's some semblance in terms of character design and coloration, but they're completely different. I
think that might be the only reason why I think that. So, okay, good. Anyway, I will stop being whatever that is and carry on with the next question. This one comes from Super 10ZX or Super 10ZX. I don't know. Depends on where they're from. Someone on Reddit said their friend met you at a convention and asked about Shadow's characterization in IDW. You said that his very cocky and arrogant personality was due to how Sega wants Shadow to be characterized, and talked about this whole story of Shadow removing his inhibitor rings to try and stop the Zombots. Is this story true, or is someone making that up? Also, are there any mandates on how Gemerald is supposed to be characterized?
All right, so hypothetically speaking, if you're at a convention and you get a good conversation going on with a professional, and they get kind of candid with you, don't tattle on them on Reddit and incite lots of anger on the internet that could potentially come back to bite that creator in the ass and make them dance around the answer to certain questions and maybe not have them answer anyone's questions at a table ever again. To put a too fine a point on it, Sega has their vision for how the characters should be, and I have to follow that. And they have supplied more direct notes on Shadow and Gemerald than other characters, I would say, in broad comparisons. And we'll leave that at that for now.
All right, next question comes from PC the Unicorn. Ian, would you like to do more with Blaze the Cat? With her maybe even getting her own series? I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential with her character, especially given the fact that she's a princess. So there's a lot about that aspect of her character that could be explored, and a lot about her world.
PC, you are absolutely right.
Yep.
And the things I could do. She's not just a princess. She's an imperial princess. So let's explore her empire. What is her empire? What are the territories? Who are the ruling individuals within that territory? There's this one line in Team Sonic Racing where she says, "I'm a princess. I've been lied to all my life." It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Is there any meaning to it? Is there some interesting Games of Thrones subterfuge going on between the princess? Why is she still a princess? Why isn't she full empress? You know, what species are on these various territories? Are they all islands? Does she rule off of a continent? Where is the imperial capital? What does she do aside from guard the solar emeralds? Is she out protecting the lands that she tried to keep to herself? Or has because she opened up more because she met with Sonic, does it mean that she used to be rather reclusive and now she's going out and meeting all these people? What is on her world? Is it total ocean with all these islands? Or are there larger continents? What other places can we explore? Are there other villains? Are there more robot pirates? Oh my god, PC, do you know how much I could do with this? And I have no idea if I would be allowed to.
Yeah, Blaze has a lot of untapped potential. She really does. That's why I'm like, yeah, more Blaze things. When I said, like, if I took over Sonic's thing, I'd be like, yeah, more Blaze, please, just in general. She's a very interesting character, and there's a lot you could do with her that just is completely unexplored. She's probably the most interesting of the secondary cast, to me at least. She would be great. So, yeah. That was awesome. Anyway, we got anything else to add to that before we get to this last one, Ian?
Oh, I could go on forever, but no, let's move on.
Okay. Finally, to close us out, we've got one from our good buddy Ryan Jample. Why won't you answer my Sonic the Hedgehog number 23 prediction email? I'm 100% sure that number 23 will reveal that Sonic was really Old Man Withers, the haunted amusement park owner. And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling Mobians and your little echidna too.
Ryan, we discussed this. I told you that in confidence. And now you just spoiled the whole thing. So thanks a lot, man. You think just because you're all super talented and you have a better beard and people recognize you as Mega Man's father more than me, you think you get away with everything? Well, guess what, buddy? I'm just going to have to rewrite the whole thing just to spite you now. Ha! 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 See what you made me do? See what you made me do?
Just kidding. It's already been written.
Why you gotta undercut me like that, Kyle? Come on!
I couldn't think of anything else.
You think just because you manage this show and you got a better complexion than I do, that you can undercut my joke? That you can try to salvage my completely awkward ending by just saying that it's already been written? Is that what you think?
I have a better complexion than you? I'm not so sure about that. Do we have to have a complexion off? I don't know what that is.
Complexion competition.
I don't know what that is, but we'd have to do that, I guess.
It's a face-off is what it is.
Who's the whitest of the whitest white guys? That's what this is.
If we stand out in the sun, will we become a hazard to pilots with the reflectiveness?
The answer is yes, probably. Equally. What the heck is this show? What are we doing here, Ian? I say that like every time.
I don't know, but we're having fun.
I ask that like every time we do a show too. It's like I can't think of anything else. I'm terrible. Anyway, let's give a shout out to the supporters on Patreon who makes this show possible. Although I don't know if they're regretting it now. We'll see.
Big thank you goes to Daniel H., Eric F., Connell T., Alex P., Justin G., IanWaffles, Andrew D., Blue Title Gamer, Coupling Crew 128, Frederick, Scruffy Matt, Saturn Flicky, Chris A., John B., Jennifer R., Reverend the Light, Lisa M., PC the Unicorn, Duas Diz Din, Dave M., Mike B., Samuel P., Sam Cybercat, Digama F. Wow, Brody M., Neil H., Justin G., Dan M.S., Silly String, Takaro, Lee H.K., Chevelle, Don B., Sin Fritz, John N., James K., Adam B.T., and Overthinking Films.
Thank you, everybody. Where can the people find you on the internet, Ian?
Head over to my Twitter account, that's at Ian Flynn BKC, or my website, BumbleKing.com, that has a full schedule of the releases that I have coming up, my full portfolio, con appearances, which won't be until next year, but still, that's where you can find all of that happy hoopla. Kyle, what about you? You
can find me on Twitter at KyleJCRB. You can also head on over to kngi.org, where you can find archives of the BumbleKast in MP3 format, as well as my other show, Nitro Game Injection, which you can also listen to streaming live on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All right there at kngi.org. All the info is there, all the links are there, everything you can find, it's all there. So go ahead and listen to it if you're into awesome video game music, remixes, arrangements, fan-made stuff, all that good things. All those good things. So be sure to check it out.
Follow the show on Twitter at BumbleKast. Contact us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com. And download all the episodes over on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or Spotify.
You can also head on over to the Bumble store and get you some Bumble gear at shop.spreadshirt.com/BumbleStore.
Also join us for BumbleKast Gaming Live Sundays at 10 p.m. where we stream ourselves playing some video game or another. We also stream throughout the week whenever time allows.
Keep an eye on Twitter for announcements on that one, and also on Patreon. I'll try to announce on both of those. So keep an eye out.
That's going to wrap us up for this episode of the BumbleKast. We hope you enjoyed our ramblings. We'll see you in a couple weeks for episode 103.
Oh boy. Well, we almost got through this show unscathed. Then the Q&A happened. Wait.
Maybe we should make that the next Patreon goal. Buy Ian a couch.
You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
I had a big looming stressor throughout the entire week and managed to, think of every possible conceivable negative connotation, every doomsday scenario, and it turned out to be nothing. So I slept like a rock last night.
Welcome. Yeah.
Without abject terror looming over my head, I was able to rest.